What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one, I'm going to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, the QQQ, and many tickers out there. Talk about whether or not the market is getting ready to bounce or not, what the levels you should be watching for, and what you should be watching for after what Powell just said. Before I break anything down about all this information, though, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. Put in $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks with a $100 cash reward. The offer ends in 9 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, guys, so looking at Tesla, this thing's down about 4.7%, trying to rebound a bit. And overall, the market looks like it's trying to show some strength after getting a bit of a sell-off after Powell was speaking. But the question is, why did the market sell off first? So I'm going to briefly talk about Powell just for a couple of minutes, then the markets. Powell basically said that there are likely going to be more rate hikes. He said we should not be accepting a pause just yet. We cannot be making the call too soon. And he said the Fed is most likely going to have a long way to go when it comes to fighting inflation, the high levels of inflation, to get to their 2% goal. The Fed is making progress, of course, as Powell said, but there's still lots of work to be done. Powell also talked about the banking sector and mentioned many things about regulations and how that could have actually, mitigated many of the substantial effects we saw for banks. And other than that, most of what Powell said was in the middle, kind of arbitrary, but he did say some hawkish things, and he was more hawkish than dovish, in my opinion, overall. So as a result, the market sold off just a bit, but it wasn't that bad. And as the market sold off, it came down to some degree. Tesla sold off even worse than the market because of some negative news that came out from Barclays, which are giving Tesla a more negative rating, saying that Tesla could be a sell. Many investors should take profits. But despite that, the market's making an attempt to rebound, and it's still trying to improve in terms of price action. So I'm going to break down these levels to look out for. When it comes to Tesla, go to the 30-minute time frame and turn on the extended hours if you're using Webull or something. Looking at it, you could see we got a nice bounce off the 200 EMA around this like 258 zone. It came down, rebounded, came down again, rebounded, came down here, rebounded. And you could see it was just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing off the 200 EMA. And now Tesla's trying to push for the next resistance zone around this 262 zone, 262 to 262.5, the entire area. Trying to push up there. It's going to likely try to break it. If it does break this, it could try to get close to the mid 260s. But for now, let's see if it can break this. It is showing some strength, trying to get above the 5 EMA. Some strength for Tesla is showing. If Tesla breaks 262.5, watch the 265 zone. If it breaks that, 265 to 266, watch this thing fly to 268, which is where the 50 EMA is on the 30-minute time frame. If it breaks that, then 270 could come, but that is a bit of a stretch. I don't see that happening today. It is a possibility, though. And going back down, if Tesla does get a rejection and it starts breaking down, we're going to be watching 260 to 258 as major support. This is very strong support for now. Tesla got a nice bounce off of it. And then after that, we saw if Tesla breaks below the 200, that's going to be a more bearish signal. It's going to come all the way down to 255. If that fails us, it's going to likely, it has some support at 254 and then also 252.5, but they're not very major. The more major support of 255 breaks will be 250. So there's some levels to just look out for. For now, Tesla's holding up, is trying to break out. It's fighting 262.5 right now. It's trying to fight and fight. Let's see if Tesla can break this. Just watch resistance for now. For SPY, okay, it's trying to fight 436.25 to 436.64. It's fighting the zone of resistance right over here. We also have this 200 EMA around 436.41. If it breaks all of this, what else changed is the 50 EMA dropped a bit after the market came down. So now it has a lot of resistance in the 436s, this entire chop zone. Then we have 436.95, just lots of resistance in there. If it breaks above the 436s, okay, if it gets to the 437s, there's not much resistance there. It's going to fly all the way up to 438. If it breaks that, 440 is going to come. For now, the market looks like it's trying to rebound. It's trying to show some strength, but we're going to have to wait and see if it could break above the 436 resistance zone first before it could turn even more bullish. So watch that resistance very carefully. If SPY rejects and gets a rug pull, hypothetically, even though it's less likely now that Powell is done talking, but just hypothetically, we're going to be watching 435 as support. If that fails us, the 434 to 434.25 zone, somewhere around there, is where we have some support as well. And if that fails us, 433 tends to be stronger support, followed by the 430 range. The strong supports are 430 and 433, so watch those carefully. But for now, we're just going to be looking at the trend and looking at how the market is reacting. Let me also add that AMD It's trying to rebound with the markets, but it got a break to the downside below the zone I mentioned. So below this 118 support, it ended up breaking down. And the next important level is like 415, then we had like 410. Overall, it's still downtrending. It's trying to curl a bit with the market, but it's still looking weak. If it keeps breaking down, I could see 108 basically come if it does break the low of the day. If not, it's going to try to hold above it, but very soon it's still very likely it has some downside potential. After the Abu Dhabi government bought a 7% stake in Nio. It tried to push up. It almost got to $10, came down a bit, but now it's trying to make its way back above $9. So it's still holding up all right, not looking that bad. And it has resistance at 9.3 to 9.5 and etc. Support's going to be at $9 or lower than that. On the QQQ, let's look out for, let's see. QQQ is trying to rebound. It's above 363, which is a very good sign. It held 360. That's a very good sign too. We're going to be watching resistance at this 364 area and then also at 366. That's going to be the next major resistance, this 356.5 to 366 area. So we have quite a bit of resistance approaching 366. But if it manages to hold above 363, it has the potential to fly to about basically getting very close to the 365 to 366 range. There's a lot of resistance there, which is where the 250 EMAs happen to be. If it breaks 366, watch 368 and 370. I don't see it going up to 370 today, but I can see it try to get closer to the mid 360s. It is possible. It is trying. It's trying to curl on the MACD. It's about to get a bullish cross. It's trying. So we'll see if that could happen. For now, it's showing some strength. So we're going to be watching these levels. If it breaks down, watch 362, 361.36, the 360 zone, as support. And if it breaks below 360, that's going to be a very bearish signal. It could drop a lot harder if that's the case, but so far that has not happened. Uh, Last but not least, let's talk about just a couple of other tickers. I mean, the Nasdaq it was dropping. Now it's trying to curl a bit. You can see it's about to get a bullish cross on the PPO. We're going to be watching the 50 EMA as resistance now. It also has this gap above. So there are a lot of signals suggesting that Nasdaq might try to pump a bit. And that's helping Tesla. I mean, if you look at Tesla, I think it's trying to rebound. Now it's at 263. So it's trying to get to the mid 260s, looking a lot better. On SPX, let's see what's SPX doing. There's a gap up here. May try to push for this gap. It has to break above the 50 EMA first. If it breaks that, it's going to fill this gap. If not, watch this resistance around 4385 on the 30-minute time frame. The dollar is starting to turn red. Okay, the dollar turning down is once again bullish for the stock market. That's a pretty decent sign. Coinbase, I was calling this out yesterday. I told you guys Coinbase has been looking bullish to me, especially after Cathie Wood ended up buying it and saying she was bullish. But I was saying it before that. That news just barely came out yesterday. Coinbase is likely going to approach 60 very soon. This imbalance. It already got to the first one. There's another one up here in like the 64 area. We're going to see if it can break this resistance above like almost 60 around there. If it breaks 60, we're going to be watching 64 to 65 next. But first it has to break 60. It is still looking quite nice. Apple's looking pretty good. Apple's trying to fight for 185. If it breaks 185, it has a lot of potential. Now look at this. Look at this chart right here, right? I told you guys if it broke down, you're going to be watching support around this 182.5 zone, somewhere around there. That's almost exactly right here. It's almost exactly where Aapl ended up bouncing off of. Now the resistance that's coming is 185. If it breaks 185, it has potential to go all the way up to 186, which is the next resistance, 186.5, then 187. Apple's holding up, trying to push up. The market is improving right now. Make sure you watch for support and resistance. Nvda came down, as I mentioned earlier. 420, it bounced exactly off 420 off the 200 EMA on the 30-minute time frame. Very nice from Nvidia. Let's see if it can break above the 50. If it breaks the 50, this thing's going to fly all the way up to about 435 plus if it could break above this 50. For now, it's looking pretty decent, trying to push up. So very nice to see Nvidia trying. I missed an opportunity to play Nvidia today. Meta's above 280. That's a decent sign. Meta's still holding up. You know, I was thinking that it could come a little bit lower than this, closer to like where the 200 is. It came just above it. Now we're watching the 50 as resistance, this like 281 resistance, break that, and then has potential to fly all the way up to 285. So it's still showing some strength. Tesla's now above 262.5. Tesla's showing some strength too, but we're just gonna have to wait a little bit on this because we're just barely starting to bounce, and it needs more time, of course, as we've been selling off for the majority of the day. So it needs a little bit more time for confirmation. But besides that, it needs to hold these levels. We need to see it hold above 262.5 for the time being. It's still showing some strength, so it's good from Tesla. But We're not getting confirmation yet on the 30-minute. We just have to wait for the crossover yet. We're not there yet. It just needs more time. It needs to hold up and continue pushing. Looks pretty decent so far. Not bad from Tesla. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. I think I got carried away by talking about all these charts. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Watch these levels carefully, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Market to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright. And peace out.